Jean-Baptiste, hello.
Hi,
How are you today?
fine.
Um, so let's just start at the beginning. Can you take a moment, introduce yourself, and tell us where you are?
I am in Paris now because I'm in quarantine in Paris and not in the vineyard.
Okay.
I'm in charge of more marketing and commercial activities in the estate, including communication. So that's why I was confined in Paris.
I see. Smart move.
So I, I, I hope I will be able soon to be again in the vineyards because I want to look it growing and I cannot do it now.
Yeah. So you have people taking care of the vines right now in Bordeaux?
Yeah.
Your people are there.
Still a few days. I think I will be back. Maybe next week we will have to make assemblage and to have to taste all our vats and barrels to make a new cuvée for bottling in June.
Okay. So can you tell everybody your name and what you do?
So I'm Jean-Baptiste Duquesne. So I bought an estate in Bordeaux in 2016, so a little bit more than 3 years ago, with the project of replanting all the old grapes that did exist in Bordeaux that are not used anymore. You have to know that in the 19th century in Bordeaux, there used to be 50 different grapes that were adapted to each terroir, and these grapes are not at all used now. There are just 3 main grapes for red and 2 main for white, Sauvignon and Sémillon, and Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. But there were 50 different grapes just 1 century ago. Quite nobody has tasted it.
Wow. You're saying 50, 50.
Yeah.
How do you say 50? 50. 50.
And we have already planted 26 grapes now. We plant 1,000 vines per grape just to be able to taste, to produce something like 500 or 1,000 bottles, just to be able to taste and to see what is now more adapted to the actual climate and which grapes we can find interesting that we could work with in the next few years.
The grapes, I assume, went away with phylloxera. That's why we don't have them anymore.
Name the grapes, you say?
No, they went away because of phylloxera.
Many reasons. In fact, there was the phylloxera at the end of the 19th century, and one of the reasons for the dispersion of was the phylloxera. But the main reason was when the AOC was decided in 5, the AOC is a way making 5 comparable wines in one area. So they did decide. They did ask the wine growers, and they say, which grape do you choose? And the grapes that were in 35 were all the same for all Gironde. So all the grapes that were decided in 35 were the same. It was in and also in Médoc, and they did this. It's now allowed Cabernet Sauvignon.
Jean-Baptiste, I keep losing your audio. I can't. You're going in and out with the audio.
So you can hear me now?
That's better, yeah. And can you say the date again? The AOC was determined in 1935?
Yeah. And
okay. There, that's much better.
They did ask wine growers to choose which grapes will be allowed in the next years following the AOC. So they did decide 5 grapes for red, 3 for white, and it was so these grapes, the old grape did exist in 35, but you have to get them out in the next 10 years. And then there was the Second World War. So grapes still exist, of course, because of the war. And after the war, there was a lot of things to do, so they still exist. And what did stop these grapes was in 56, when there was a big frost in France.
Oh.
A big frost in February for 3 weeks, very, very cold, minus 15, minus 20 degrees in France for 3 weeks long. So maybe more than 50% of all vines in Gironde were killed.
Wow. And so when people replanted, they replanted
So they did plant again. They did plant again, and then Merlot was planted a lot, and the grapes were, there was a simplification of the encépagement of the grapes in Gironde effectively in 56. But nobody now remember that they were 20, still in 56, maybe there were 10, 20 different grapes still available in the vineyards in 56 in France.
So when did you plant these 26 species of vine, and where did you get them from?
The main source is there is a conservatoire in France. The good idea in France was to say, maybe what we are doing just to make this simplification, it's a pity, and maybe it will disappear something. So the French government made some conservatoire where they kept 4, 5 vines for each variety in a conservatoire, where they now have 2,000 different grapes varieties available. And in this conservatoire, for each of these grapes, maybe there were just five vines still available. And from these 5 vines, you can get some woods. And from this, you can plant, you can graft maybe 300 vines. So
wow.
in 2 years, I can arrive up to 1,000 grapes, 1,000 vines, and I have to do the job. So each year, and now we have 26 different vines.
Such a cool project. And when do you expect to have wine, or do you already?
We will just to accelerate the process. We now overgraft some grapes on we overgraft so as to be able to produce wine quickly here. So we will able to harvest our first vintage this year from Mansin and Castet in red, from also Bouchalès, which is really interesting grapes, and in white we will harvest Blanc au Bas and Sauvignonas. Sauvignonas that is still planted in Slovenia, but it used to be planted in Sauternes, and in Sauternes it was called Sauvignon Vert, green Sauvignon.
Wow. Okay, and can you repeat the goal again? It's to see what works better with climate change, or more as to visit history?
Well, first of all is to visit history, because it's really interesting, and I find it really surprising that nobody knows how it was, the taste of these grapes. So I'm really interested in tasting these wines, because I'm a wine passionate. But also, when you read some books from the 19th century, they explain that for some vines, they explain you should not plant this grape because it's never ripe. The grapes are never ripe in October, so you should never plant this variety. So this sort of varieties can now be a solution. And also there were some varieties that used to produce just grapes with 7 to 9 degrees of alcohol. And now they should produce between 10 and 12 degrees of alcohol only, which is what would be really adapt to the taste of consumers and what we do expect from a wine.
Wow, that's super cool. And then can you talk about your reason for using biodynamics and your journey with biodynamic wine?
Because I think that's the future. Because the viticulture for 50 years now, have worked with soils that do not live enough, do not live anymore, and so we think that's full of sense to produce wines on soil and terroirs that live a lot, and you already feel the difference just in 4 years.
Wow.
What happened in our pH, in our acidity, in the way our grapes are now more balanced, and the wine feel much more better. So it's a question of taste, of course, but also it's also more sense for the future and for what we must leave to our children, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Does yield change before and after conversion to biodynamics, or does it stay the same, just healthier?
We when we did begin the adventure, we make the change, and now for this vintage we will be bio, so organic, and also biodynamic for the 20 vintage. The conversion has been ended this year.
I see. And yield stays the same?
I cannot say.
Yeah.
I cannot say because we still have a lot of grass in our vineyards, and I cannot say because I did not a lot of change. For my first vintage, I had frost, and I lost 90% in 90% of the vintage, my first vintage. 18, I had hail, and I lost 100% of my production. And for last year, I just have 25% of production because of the hail the year before. So I'm expecting my first vintage, at least, I hope it will be an excellent, but
yeah,
it seems to good begin now.
And remind me where your domain is and how big it is.
And we are based in Graves. We have really good terroir. It's a really beautiful group of Graves with 5 or 6 different plots. We have 42 hectares, so it's quite middle big in Bordeaux. And in terms of wines, we work, and we are already working differently from Bordeaux wine growers, because we want to work in a Burgundy style, because we want to make vinification separately from these different terroirs we have. It's incredible how in Bordeaux you have a range of terroir which is really huge. For example, we have Merlot even if we are on Graves soils, we have a Merlot with a calcaire asterie, which just one meter deep under a parcel of Merlot, and we make a specific vinification for this Merlot from this terroir, from Graves and calcaire asterie, but just 1 kilometer away, you have different Graves, different more clays, more limestones, and we want to work on what we call les parcellaires, to show how it tastes differently in Bordeaux depending on the place you are, and not at all like Bordeaux is working, but Bordeaux is more working on assemblage, which is make something in between of these different range of terroir. And I am more interested of showing how it can taste different from these varieties of terroirs.
So how are the people of Bordeaux reacting to the work that you're doing? Are they supportive and interested, or think you're crazy?
In between. No, I think a lot of things have changed. 10 years ago, they would think I'm really crazy, just produce organic wine. Now they are wondering what's the future, how deep have they to change. A lot of of wine growers are in conversion in organic. Maybe it's now more than 10% of wine growers on Bordeaux will have made the change. And also, I take the risk for them, for my neighbors. They just can observe what's happening in my vineyard, so they are interested in, and we are discussing with him. But I'm not so sure they understand what I'm doing, why I'm planting grape, because I will not be allowed to sell Grave wine. I will not depend from the AOC. It will be Vin France. And so they are not used to see such manners. And, and also what I'm doing, I will have to sell my wines myself, because I'm not in a case, so it cannot be explained. So I have to come to New York and to explain to you and to the consumer what is the job I've done. So in Bordeaux, we are not so used to sell ourselves our wines, because there are négociants, there is Place de Bordeaux.
Yeah.
There is a sort of share of work between wine growers and négociants, and wine growers just have to produce wine, and when the négociants have to sell it. So that's the tradition. And if you want to change the rule, it's really necessary to sell your wines yourself. It's what we are now.
It's so much work. Can you just describe, I'm going to put a picture up. I made a screenshot of some so people can see the grapes. And I hope, oh, it's not going to work. Can you tell us about some of the grapes that you're growing and what you think so far? There we go.
For example, we are growing Mansin, which is also called Tarnay. I think you will speak with Loïc. Loïc called Mansin Tarnay.
Okay.
It's a sort of his way of calling. He will explain to you. But I call it Mansin because that's the official name. But Mansin is a really, really interesting grape from the left bank. That's, we also produce Casté. We also produce Bouchalès, Saint-Macaire. Saint-Macaire is really interesting, really fruity. And in white, we have some grapes like Blanc-Aubat, Blanc-Verdé, Sauvignonas, Prueras. So 26 new names. Nobody has heard about, nobody has tasted. So we will be able to propose a degustation of them with separated vinification, was to be able to look how it does taste.
Will you make blends or single varietal wines?
No, I think we will make brands.
Yeah.
Or it will depend. For example, I found some texts from the beginning of the 20th century in something like 1900, a text that did explain which were the grapes on my commune. And the grapes are listed. Now 50% would not be allowed in the AOC. So, for example, I would like to produce the blend of the share of grapes that did exist exactly 1 century ago at the same pace. So it will include 25% of Cabernet Sauvignon, around 25% of Malbec, but there will be also Pardot, there will be Mansin, there will be Bouchalès, for example, there will be Saint-Macaire, and it was told 1 century ago that's where the grape in our commune. So I think the blend would be interesting, for example.
Yeah. So do you think that, I mean, I know in New York people are interested in this and would be thrilled to try your wines. So I look forward to tasting them and introducing you to friends. Are people in Paris wine bars, and Bordeaux has a great wine bar scene, are they interested in this kind of thing too?
Yeah, of course. I have it's a period of great change, and I think we will have to, because in Bordeaux, if we want Bordeaux as Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, is well known worldwide for Cabernet Sauvignon. But Cabernet Sauvignon, you can find it now worldwide. So
Right.
what makes the difference in the future?
Yeah.
If I produce some Montsant, some Bouchalès, nobody will be able to compete with me, because that's our history. It's our strength in France to get this strong history. And why didn't we work on it? Why didn't we work of this patrimoine we had? And that's why I think that it would be a good idea for many wine growers in Bordeaux to do the same. The point is, it will be now difficult for them to get some vines, because there still exist 5 plants in the conservatoire, so they can provide just one grower a year.
Right.
So when I did begin, I was one of the only. Loïc from Liberbater made the job in the last 10 years. Maybe we are less than 10 wine growers in Bordeaux that have begun to plant the first of these old grapes. I'm the only one to have planted all of them. But I think that it will develop, because that's our future, to propose so interesting and different wines.
Yeah. These are all Vinous Vinifera?
Who?
The same genetic as the noble grapes, Vinous Vinifera.
Yes, these are all Vitis vinifera, of course.
Okay. And do you think that this increases the health of just vines in general by having more diverse gene pool in the plants?
I did not understand the question.
So some people think that just having Cabernet, for example, so worldwide, and Pinot Noir, that because it's genetically similar, there's not much natural defense for potential pests in the future. Do you think that this is a hedge against that at all?
Of course, the more diversity we have, the best it is. Huh?
Yeah. And then once you get them going, are you doing Massal selection?
The point is that the material that was preserved is quite weak. Sometimes just 5-year wines. But for some wines, I did work with vignerons in France. We still do have some prephyloxeric vineyards. So, for example, I did last winter, I went to Auvergne to a friend of mine, which have a vineyard that is from 1882, and in a parcel, he's got 32 old grapes, and from he had three plants of Sauvignonnas I was looking for. So I went there. I got some Massal at his estate. So we still have to do the job, to go and to visit some vineyards to look for so as to be able to make this Massal, to have more diversity in these varieties. But it has quite disappeared. And maybe half of these grapes have disappeared definitely. They used to be 50. I'm sure I will not be able to get more than 30 now.
I see. Wow. So I'm going to let you go very shortly, but I want to ask how this is such an unusual project. What led you to start this project? It's a long time coming, I think.
It was 20 years ago, in fact. I was in Bordeaux. I was a négociant. My first job as described my company as a négociant in Bordeaux. And I did visit someone in Gaillac, which is Robert Plajol.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I did listen to Robert Plajol. I said, 20 years ago, I found it wonderful to do the job he had made to make this come back from the old grapes from Gaillac. And he made the job, and now Gaillac is quite well known because of the jobs that Robert Plajol has done. And 20 years ago, I had no money in my pocket. I said, one time, I will do the same in Bordeaux. And 20 years later, I have created a company in the internet. I did create one of the main recipes website in France. I sold my company. So I did buy a vineyard. I did make an association with someone who was doing biodynamics for 20 years, David Pouteis. And I say, I want to do the same as Robert Berjol now in Bordeaux. And in 20 years, quite nobody had the idea to do this. And nobody has planted all the grapes that did exist in Bordeaux. And that's quite surprising to get such a territory of marketing just free. We just have to do the job in this vineyard and to replant and to discover these plants and to do and to adapt vinification because we still have a lot of job to do to understand when we must harvest, how is it balanced, how do we have to do the fermentation, how do we have to use barrel or just in vat, and we just have to discover this grape and to know how to do the best wine with these grapes.
I think it's fascinating. So I will tell people to follow you on Instagram. I love your account. It's very philosophical, and I have to look up many words, but I enjoy it. And I will tell people, if you have questions, Jean-Baptiste does check frequently and ask questions directly, I think. And please stay in touch and let me know when you come to New York. I'm happy to make some introductions, and I can't wait to try.
It will be a passionate degustation, you will see.
I can't wait. Thank you so much for your time. It's really a pleasure to meet you, and I will see you soon in New York, I hope.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao.